Decisions are the ultimate power. The moment you truly decide, your life changes. But most people never actually decide. They hesitate, they try, and they leave room for retreat. A real decision means cutting off all other options. It comes from the Latin root decidere, which means to cut off. When you make a real decision, you remove every escape route and commit fully to one path. That level of commitment has the power to reshape your destiny because your life is a direct reflection of the decisions you consistently make. The biggest mistake people make is believing that their past determines their future. But your past only controls you if you let it. The truth is, your future is shaped by the decisions you make right now. People often wait for perfect conditions to make a decision. They say, I'll start when I feel ready, or I'll take action when the timing is right. But waiting is a decision too, a decision to stay stuck. Successful people don't wait for certainty. They create it through action. They know that life rewards those who are willing to decide and move forward, even when it's uncomfortable. Decisions shape your destiny because they determine your actions, and actions produce results. When you decide to change your body, your business, or your relationships, it's not the decision alone that changes things. It's the actions that follow. But most people never follow through because their decisions are weak. They say, I'll try, or I hope this works, which leaves room for failure. A true decision is backed by resolve. It's a declaration that says, this is happening, period. When you decide with that level of certainty, your brain shifts from can I to how will I? And that's where breakthroughs happen. And when you stop questioning if it's possible and start focusing on how to make it possible. Real decisions come with a price, discomfort. You will feel fear, doubt, and resistance. That's because the moment you decide, you are stepping into the unknown. But here's the truth. The greatest growth happens outside your comfort zone. Most people avoid decisions to avoid pain, the pain of failure, the pain of rejection, or the pain of making the wrong choice. But not deciding is the most painful decision of all because it leads to regret, and regret lasts far longer than failure. The only wrong decision is no decision. Every choice moves you forward or teaches you something valuable. The most successful people are not those who never fail. They are those who decide quickly, fail fast, learn faster, and keep moving. The power of decision is not just about the big moments in life. It's about the small daily choices. The decision to get up early or hit snooze, the decision to push harder or give up, the decision to speak your truth or stay silent. These small decisions made consistently shape your character and ultimately your destiny. People often think their life changes with one big decision, but true transformation comes from stacking hundreds of small decisions that align with your goals. The key to making powerful decisions is clarity. When you are crystal clear on what you want and why you want it, your decisions become easy. Clarity brings certainty, and certainty brings power. Without clarity, you will hesitate, overthink, and second-guess yourself. But when your vision is strong, decisions become automatic. You stop negotiating with yourself and start acting with conviction. Once you decide, act immediately. Decision without action is a fantasy. The longer you wait, the more doubt creeps in. The fastest way to reinforce a decision is to take action while you are in a peak state, when your excitement, courage, and determination are high. Massive action creates momentum, and momentum crushes fear. The truth is, every transformation starts with the decision. It's not your conditions that shape your life, it's your choices. You don't need years to change your life. You need a moment. One powerful decision, fully committed to, can alter your destiny forever. The only question is, are you ready to decide? Because when you truly decide, everything changes. Your life changes the moment you master your state. Your state, your emotional and physical energy, controls your thoughts, your actions, and ultimately your results. Most people try to change their life by changing their mindset, but they miss the most powerful shortcut. Change your state first. Your mind and body are deeply connected. When you shift how you move, breathe, and hold yourself, you instantly change how you feel. This is because your physiology, your posture, breath, and movement directly controls your emotions. When you learn to master your state, you gain the power to break through fear, destroy self-doubt, and take massive action even when you don't feel like it. The truth is, your state is what shapes your reality. Think about a time when you felt unstoppable, when you were in the zone and everything seemed easy. Now compare that to a time when you felt frustrated, stressed, or defeated. The same opportunity could be in front of you, but your state determines how you experience it and how you respond. If you're in a peak state, energized, focused, and confident, you'll see opportunities and attack challenges with everything you've got. But if you're in a lousy state, slouched, shallow breathing, and full of negative self-talk, you'll find excuses, hesitate, and miss out on your potential. The fastest way to shift your state is through your physiology. Change how you move, and you change how you feel. When you stand tall with your chest open, breathe deeply, and move with power, you send a signal to your brain. I am strong, I am capable, I am ready. Science backs this up. Studies show that simply adjusting your posture can lower cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase testosterone, the confidence hormone, within minutes. But most people live in a physiology that reinforces weakness. They slump, shuffle their feet, and breathe shallowly, and then wonder why they feel tired and uninspired. The body leads the mind. So if you want a new mindset, start with new movement. Your breath is another instant key to state control. Shallow, rapid breathing triggers stress and anxiety, but deep, rhythmic breathing brings calm and clarity. But the fastest way to change your emotions is to control your breath. One powerful technique is the power breath. Inhale deeply for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, and exhale for 4 counts. Repeat this for a few minutes, and you'll feel your energy shift from chaos to clarity. When you control your breath, you control your emotions. Language is another part of your state. The words you say, both out loud and in your mind, shape your emotions. When you say, I'm overwhelmed, your body responds with tension. But if you say, I've got this, or this is a challenge I can conquer, your body shifts into a state of power. People weaken their state by using disempowering language like, I can't, I'm stressed, or this is impossible. Change the words and you change your focus. Change your focus and you change your state. Energy also follows focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. If you focus on what's wrong, your state collapses. But if you focus on what you're grateful for or what's possible, your state elevates. In moments of doubt, ask yourself, what's great about this problem? What's something I can learn here? These questions shift your focus and transform your state instantly. The key to lasting transformation is conditioning your state daily. Most people let their state be controlled by their environment. They feel good when things are going well and terrible when things go wrong. But champions condition their state so that they control how they feel no matter what's happening around them. They use rituals like morning priming, power moves, and incantations to start their day in peak state. And they know that when you stack these practices daily, they become automatic. In the end, your state is the foundation of your success. You can have the best strategies, the biggest goals, and the clearest plans, but without the right state, you will fail to execute. On the other hand, when you control your state, you become unstoppable. You face challenges with power, take action with confidence, and show up as your best self every single day. Master your state, and you will master your life. Because when you change your state, you change everything. The greatest limitations you face are not in your environment, your circumstances, or your resources. They are in your mind. What holds most people back is not their ability, but their beliefs. Your beliefs shape your thoughts, and your thoughts drive your actions. If you believe something is impossible, you won't even try. But when you shift your beliefs, you shift your entire reality. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the story you keep telling yourself. Most people are living in a prison built from their past experiences, failures, and doubts. But here's the truth. Those beliefs are lies. And once you identify and destroy them, you become unstoppable. Every limiting belief begins with a story. People say, I'm not good at relationships, I'm too old to start, or I'll never be successful. But these stories are not facts. They are excuses built from fear. They were formed by past experiences, mistakes, or moments of pain, and then repeated so often that they became part of your identity. The problem is, people live in these stories for so long that they mistake them for reality. But the past does not equal the future, unless you live there. Your beliefs are nothing more than patterns, and patterns can be changed. The first step to breaking limiting beliefs is to identify them. You cannot defeat an enemy you cannot see. Pay attention to your language because your words reveal your beliefs. Phrases like, I can't, I'm not, or that's just who I am are red flags. Every time you say these words, stop and ask, is this really true, or is this a belief I created to protect myself from failure? Often you'll find that the belief is based on a single experience that you've turned into a life sentence. But one failure does not mean you are a failure. One rejection does not mean you are unworthy. When you question your beliefs, you weaken their power. The second step is to challenge those beliefs with new evidence. Your brain loves patterns, but it can be rewired. Find examples either from your life or from others, where the opposite of your belief is true. If you believe, I can't succeed because I have no experience, look for stories of people who started with nothing and built empires. If you believe I'm too old, find people who started late and achieved greatness. Flood your mind with proof that your belief is a lie, because when you change your references, you change your reality. Next, you must replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones. It's not enough to tear down old beliefs. You must rebuild with new, stronger foundations. Create a new story that aligns with the life you want to live. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, say, I am resourceful, I am capable, and I can figure anything out. Instead of, I can't handle this, say, I am stronger than any challenge I face. Speak these new beliefs out loud every day with power and certainty. Repetition is the key to rewiring your brain, but beliefs are not only changed with words, they are changed through action. You must take massive, uncomfortable action to prove to your brain that the new belief is true. Fear will still be there, but action destroys fear. If you believe you are confident, act confidently. If you believe you are successful, start showing up like you've already won. Your brain learns through experience, and every action you take toward your new belief reinforces it. Another powerful way to destroy limiting beliefs is to associate pain with holding on to them and pleasure with breaking free. Your brain is wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So ask yourself, what has this belief cost me? How has it limited my relationships, my income, and my happiness? What will it cost me if I continue to believe it? Feel that pain deeply, because pain creates urgency. Then flip the script. What will my life look like when I live without this belief? How much joy, success, and freedom will I experience when I break through? Attach massive pleasure to your new belief and let that drive you forward. The truth is, your beliefs are the blueprint of your life. If you don't like the results you're getting, it's time to change the blueprint. But changing your beliefs isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Condition your new beliefs every morning, every night, and every time you face a challenge. In the end, the only real limits are the ones you accept. Break those limits, and you break free, not just from a belief, but from every obstacle that belief created. When you change what you believe about what's possible, you don't just change your mindset, you change your destiny. Massive action is the key to massive results. Most people spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment, but success doesn't come from waiting, it comes from doing. The difference between those who achieve their goals and those who don't is simple. Action. Not small, cautious steps, massive, consistent action. It's easy to fall into the trap of overthinking, planning, or waiting for the stars to align, but results come to those who move forward, even when conditions aren't perfect. When you commit to massive action, you stop hoping and start creating. You don't dabble, you dominate. The biggest enemy of action is hesitation. Most people let fear, doubt, or uncertainty paralyze them. They say, I don't know enough, or I'm not ready, and they use those excuses to stay stuck. But the truth is, clarity comes from action, not thought. You can't figure everything out in your head. You must step into the arena and learn by doing. Mistakes are not failures, they are feedback. Every action you take gives you information, and that information is power. You don't fail by trying and stumbling. You fail by never starting. Massive action also destroys fear. Fear feeds on inaction. When you sit still, your mind creates stories of everything that could go wrong. But when you move, when you step forward with intensity, fear loses its grip. Action creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. You don't need to feel confident to act. You act your way into confidence. The most successful people are not fearless. They are action takers despite their fear. They know that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else matters more. Another reason massive action is powerful is that it creates results faster. When you take relentless action, you compress time. What others achieve in months or years, you can achieve in weeks. Why? Because you're making more attempts, gaining more feedback, and adjusting more quickly. The faster you fail, the faster you learn, and the faster you succeed. People who take massive action make more mistakes, but they also make more progress. They don't aim for perfection, they aim for progress. Massive action is also about persistence. Many people start strong, but quit when they face obstacles. They hit a wall and say, maybe this isn't for me. But the truth is, the wall is part of the process. The greatest breakthroughs come after the greatest resistance. Obstacles are not stop signs, they are checkpoints, testing your commitment. Massive action means pushing through when it's hard, when you're tired, and when you're uncertain. Most people quit when it gets tough, but champions push harder. Persistence beats talent every time. But massive action is not random action. It's strategic. It's about trying everything, measuring what works, and doubling down on what produces results. It's about learning from failure and adjusting your approach without losing your intensity. It's about working smarter and harder. Consistent, massive action with a clear target turns effort into excellence. Massive action also shifts your identity. When you commit to taking action every day, you stop being someone who wants success and become someone who demands it. You move from hoping to doing, from wishing to winning. Your habits shape your identity, and action is the most powerful habit of all. Every day you take massive action, you reinforce the belief that you are unstoppable. The truth is, you don't need more time, you need more intensity. You don't need more knowledge, you need more action. The world doesn't reward those who know the most. It rewards those who do the most. Your potential means nothing without execution. Massive action is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter where you started, how many resources you have, or how much talent you were born with. If you are willing to outwork everyone else, you will win. In the end, the formula is simple. Massive action equals massive results. Not someday, not when you're ready, now. Success belongs to those who act, and the time to act is always now. Success leaves clues. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to achieve greatness. You can model those who have already succeeded. The fastest way to reach your goals is to study people who have achieved what you desire and replicate their patterns. Success is not luck, it's a science. Every result is produced by specific actions, habits, and mindsets. When you learn from those who have already walked the path, you save time, avoid costly mistakes, and accelerate your progress. Modeling is the ultimate shortcut to success. Most people struggle because they try to figure everything out on their own. They waste years in trial and error, hoping to stumble on the right formula. But successful people don't guess, they model. They find someone who is already producing the results they want and follow their blueprint. This isn't copying, it's learning. It's about extracting the strategies that work and applying them to your own life. You don't need a new recipe, you need to follow one that already works. Modeling starts with identifying the right people to learn from. Find those who have consistently achieved success in your area of focus. If you want financial freedom, study self-made entrepreneurs and investors. If you want a strong relationship, model couples who have been happily together for decades. If you want to be fit and healthy, learn from those who have mastered their body. The key is to model results, not talk. Many people give advice, but few live what they teach. Follow those whose lives are a reflection of their principles. Once you find the right model, don't just look at what they do, look at how they think. Actions produce results, but mindset drives actions. Pay attention to their beliefs, their values, and their standards. What do they believe about success, failure, and opportunity? How do they handle setbacks and rejection? What standards do they hold themselves to? Success is 80% psychology and 20% mechanics. So if you only copy the mechanics without the mindset, you'll fall short. Adopt their belief systems and you will begin to produce their results. Modeling also requires you to replicate their habits and rituals. Success is built on what you do consistently, not occasionally. If someone is a top performer, they likely have daily routines that drive their results. How do they start their day? How do they manage their time? How do they stay focused and overcome distractions? Their habits are the bridge between their goals and their achievements. By adopting their rituals, you condition yourself for similar success. However, modeling is not about becoming a clone. It's about extracting the principles behind their success and adapting them to your unique style. Add your voice, your creativity, and your personality. The goal is not to copy, but to compress decades into days by learning from their experience. You can skip the failures they endured and benefit from their wisdom while carving your own path. Another crucial part of modeling is learning from their failures as well as their successes. Most people only look at what winners did right, but you can learn just as much from what they did wrong. Study their setbacks, how they responded, what they learned, and how they adapted. Success is rarely a straight line. It's a series of adjustments. When you model their resilience, their ability to pivot, and the refusal to quit, you gain the tools to handle your own challenges. Modeling also teaches you the power of proximity. Surrounding yourself with people who are already succeeding is one of the fastest ways to grow. Proximity is power. Being in the environment of achievers shifts your mindset, raises your standards, and accelerates your learning. If you can't meet them personally, consume their books, videos, podcasts, and courses. Make their voices louder than your doubts. Let their mindset become your mindset. Lastly, modeling only works if you take action. Too many people get stuck in learning mode, reading books, watching videos, and attending seminars, but never applying what they learn. Information without implementation is useless. When you find a strategy that works, apply it immediately. Test it, measure your results, and adjust as needed. The greatest models didn't become successful by knowing, they became successful by doing. So commit to taking massive, consistent action based on what you learn from them. In the end, success is not a mystery. It leaves a trail. Your job is to follow it. Find the people who have the life you want. Study them. Model their beliefs, habits, and actions. Adapt their strategies to your own journey. And most importantly, take relentless action. When you do this, you won't just hope for success, you will guarantee it. Fear is a natural part of life, but it does not have to control you. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of fear. It is how they respond to it. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. Most people let fear paralyze them, keeping them stuck in their comfort zone. But the truth is, fear contains power. On the other side of fear is growth, strength, and freedom. When you learn to use fear as fuel instead of allowing it to control you, you become unstoppable. Fear will always be there, but it should never drive your decisions. The key is to shift your mindset and make fear your ally, not your enemy. The first step to turning fear into fuel is to reframe it. Fear is not a warning to stop. It is a signal that you are about to grow. When you feel fear, it means you are stepping into something unknown, something bigger than you've experienced before. That is a good thing. Most people interpret fear as a reason to retreat, but successful people see fear as a green light to move forward. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if I succeed beyond my wildest dreams?" Fear and excitement are the same emotion, only your interpretation changes how you experience them. When you reframe fear as excitement for growth, it stops holding you back and starts driving you forward. The second step is to face your fears directly. Avoiding fear gives it power. Confronting fear takes its power away. Most fears are illusions, mental projections of worst-case scenarios that never happen. But when you confront your fear head on, you realize it is smaller than you imagine. Take action before you feel ready. Action is the antidote to fear because fear cannot survive in motion. When you step into your fear, you gain confidence, not because the fear disappears, but because you realize you can handle it. The more you face fear, the more you build courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something is more important than fear. Another way to use fear as fuel is to connect it to your purpose. When your reason for taking action is bigger than your fear, you will move forward no matter how uncomfortable it feels. Most people stay stuck because their fear is bigger than their why. But when you have a powerful reason, when you know what's at stake, you will find the courage to push through fear. Think about what it will cost you if you let fear win. What dreams will die? What opportunities will you miss? What kind of person will you become if you stay where you are? When you make the cost of inaction greater than the fear of failure, fear becomes your motivator, not your limiter. Using fear as fuel also requires changing your relationship with failure. Many people fear taking action because they are afraid to fail, but failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. Every failure carries a lesson, and every lesson brings you closer to your goal. The most successful people fail more than anyone else because they are willing to risk, learn, and grow. Instead of fearing failure, fear regret. Failure lasts a moment, but regret lasts a lifetime. The only true failure is the failure to try. Another powerful tool is to condition your mind to handle fear through rituals and habits. Fear thrives in a chaotic, untrained mind. But when you train your mind daily through meditation, visualization, and incantations, you create a mental fortress that fear cannot penetrate. Visualize yourself succeeding beyond your fears. Speak words of power and courage. Your thoughts shape your feelings, and your feelings drive your actions. Train your mind, and you will control your fear instead of letting fear control you. Finally, remember that fear is energy, and energy can be directed. Fear produces adrenaline, a surge of power that can paralyze you or propel you. The choice is yours. Channel that energy into action. Use the adrenaline to sharpen your focus, increase your intensity, and drive your performance. Athletes, performers, and leaders all feel fear, but they convert that energy into power. When you embrace fear and move forward anyway, fear becomes fuel for your greatest breakthroughs. In the end, fear is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. It shows you where you need to grow. It points to your highest potential. It is a sign that you are alive and pushing your limits. Stop running from fear and start running toward it. Because everything you want, your dreams, your goals, your greatest life, is on the other side of fear. When you make fear your fuel, nothing can stop you. You don't eliminate fear, you rise above it. And when you do, fear doesn't break you, it builds you. What you accept for yourself shapes your entire life. People often talk about their goals, but it's not their goals that define their future, it's their standards. And everyone wants to be happy, healthy, and successful, but very few are willing to raise their standards to make it happen. When you raise your standards, you stop tolerating excuses, mediocrity, and anything that doesn't align with your vision. You begin to demand more from yourself, not just occasionally, but every single day. Your life is a reflection of what you consistently expect from yourself. If you want to change your life, change your standards. The truth is, you don't get what you want, you get what you must have. Everyone has a list of shoulds. I should lose weight. I should make more money. I should improve my relationships. But shoulds don't create change. Change happens when a should becomes a must. When something becomes non-negotiable, your entire psychology shifts. Suddenly, there are no excuses, only results. When you set a new standard, your mind finds a way to reach it. You stop settling and start demanding. It's not a matter of talent or resources, it's a matter of standards. Raising your standards begins with your identity. You will never outperform the person you believe yourself to be. Your identity is your internal thermostat. It regulates your results. If your standard is to be average, no matter how hard you push, you will always settle back to that level. But if your standard is excellence, you will find a way to reach it, even when it's hard. People often ask, how do I change my life? The answer is to change what you believe about who you are. When your identity shifts, your standards automatically rise. You will act consistently with your identity every time. Your standards are also revealed in how you handle adversity. When things get tough, do you fold or do you rise? Champions hold the line on their standards, especially when it's hard. It's easy to be disciplined when you feel motivated, but your standards are tested when you don't feel like it. When you're tired, frustrated, or uncertain. People with low standards find excuses. People with high standards find a way. The difference is not in their abilities, but in what they demand from themselves. One of the most powerful ways to raise your standards is to change your environment. You become who you surround yourself with. If you are around people who settle, you will lower your standards to fit in. But if you surround yourself with people who demand excellence, you will naturally rise to their level. Proximity is power. Make it a standard to be in rooms that challenge you, around people who inspire you, and in environments that push you to grow. Raising your standards also means raising your standards for what you tolerate, from yourself and from others. People often settle for relationships, jobs, or habits that drain them simply because they don't believe they deserve better. But what you tolerate becomes your reality. When you raise your standards, you stop accepting negativity, disrespect, or half effort. You set boundaries, not to keep people out, but to protect your values and your vision. Your standards are not just about your goals. They are about your habits. A goal is a result, a standard is a system. People with high standards don't just work hard once, they work hard every day. They don't eat healthy once, they make it a lifestyle. They don't practice gratitude occasionally, they live with it. Habits are standards in action. And when you commit to those habits, you build momentum. Momentum turns into results. And results reinforce your standards. Most people lower their standards when they fail, but failure is not a reason to lower your standards. It's a reason to raise them. Failure is feedback. It shows you where your standards are not strong enough. The difference between winners and losers is that winners raise their standards after failure. They use it as fuel to become better, faster, and stronger. Ultimately, raising your standards is about deciding who you are and refusing to accept anything less. It's about making excellence your baseline and greatness your norm. It's about shifting from I hope to I must, from one day to day one. When you raise your standards, your actions change. When your actions change, your results change. And when your results change, your life changes. In the end, life will give you what you demand, not what you wish for. So, demand more. Set the standard and then live it. Creating lasting change requires more than just a breakthrough moment. It demands consistent daily action. Most people believe transformation happens overnight, but the truth is, lasting change is built through habits that compound over time. It's not what you do once in a while that shapes your life. It's what you do consistently. Success and failure are both the result of small decisions repeated every day. If you want real, lasting change, you must create powerful habits and rituals that align with your vision and practice them until they become automatic. Repetition is the mother of mastery, and mastery is what creates long-term success. The biggest mistake people make is relying on motivation to create change. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. The most successful people don't depend on motivation. They depend on their habits. They know that success is built on what they do, regardless of how they feel. You will not always feel inspired, but if you have strong habits, you will act anyway. And when you act consistently, motivation follows. Action creates momentum, and momentum sustains progress. Building lasting habits starts with clarity. You must be crystal clear about what you want and why you want it. Without a strong why, your habits will fade at the first sign of resistance. But when your habits are tied to a purpose that inspires you, they become non-negotiable. For example, if your goal is to get healthy, don't just focus on losing weight. Focus on how more energy will help you be a better parent, partner, or leader. When your habits are driven by meaning, they become part of your identity. To make habits stick, start small. People often fail because they try to change too much, too fast. They set massive goals but quickly burn out. Real, lasting change comes from stacking small wins over time. If you want to build a habit of reading, start with 5 minutes a day. If you want to exercise, start with 10 push-ups. What matters is not the size of the action, but the consistency. Small actions repeated daily create powerful results. This is known as the compound effect. Tiny improvements that add up over time to produce massive change. Another key to creating lasting habits is to design your environment for success. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you realize. If you want to eat healthier, fill your kitchen with healthy foods and remove junk food. If you want to read more, place books where you can see them and keep your phone away. Make the habits you want easy and the habits you don't want difficult. Successful people don't rely on willpower. They design environments that make success inevitable. Accountability is another powerful tool for building lasting habits. When you share your goals with someone who will hold you to your commitments, you increase your chances of following through. Whether it's a coach, a mentor, or a friend, accountability adds a layer of pressure that keeps you on track. Even better, surround yourself with people who already have the habits you want. Proximity is power. When you're around people with high standards, their habits become your habits. Tracking your progress is also essential. What gets measured gets managed. Use a journal, an app, or a habit tracker to keep track of your daily actions. When you see your progress visually, you gain momentum. And when you miss a day, which will happen, don't let it become two. The key to lasting habits is not perfection, it's persistence. A single setback means nothing if you get back on track immediately. To make habits permanent, celebrate your wins. Every time you follow through on a habit, you reinforce your identity. If you complete a workout, celebrate it. If you finish a book, acknowledge it. Positive reinforcement locks the habit into your brain. When you celebrate progress, your brain releases dopamine, which makes you want to repeat the behavior. Lastly, be patient. Lasting change is not a sprint. It's a marathon. The results you want are coming, but only if you stay consistent. Most people quit when they don't see results quickly enough, but change is happening beneath the surface, even if you can't see it yet. Trust the process. Bamboo trees grow underground for years before they break the surface, but when they do, they grow rapidly. Your habits work the same way. Keep going and you will experience breakthroughs beyond what you imagine. In the end, lasting change is not about intensity. It's about consistency. It's about showing up day after day, even when it's hard. When you commit to daily habits, you no longer chase success, you become it. Because success is not something you achieve. It's something you become through the habits you practice every day.